Hi everybody, I'm Sadie, this is Hannah.
Hi.
And we're gonna show you how to do the company competition makeup for our upcoming season using the kits that you were provided with by Fred and Zare and some things that you're gonna be responsible for getting on your own. So here we go. The first thing we're gonna do is prep and prime Hannah's face. The reason that we use primer is that it gives the makeup something to hold on to. It also provides a more even surface to put the makeup on. If you don't want to use primer, it's not mandatory, but it will help your makeup stay on longer and it will look better on stage. There's lots of different brands you can buy. You don't have to do a high-end beauty product. You can get a primer at Target from brands like e.l.f. or Maybelline. Revlon has a good primer. Just find one that you like the feeling of on your skin, because that is going to be the barrier between your skin and your makeup. So the primer that I'm using on Hannah is a Laura Mercier primer, and I'm also going to use a MAC Prep and Prime on her eyelids, which is really, really helpful for the shadow to have something to adhere to. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on, and I'll see you in a minute. So now that Hannah's face is primed, I'm gonna do a little bit of color corrector. Hannah has a lot of red, which makes her complexion ruddy, and sometimes that can come through her foundation. So I'm gonna combat that with a little bit of green. Again, all of this is not mandatory, but if you're into it and you're willing to practice with it, it can really make a difference in your makeup. So this just takes all of the red out of Hannah's skin. So now that Hannah's skin has been prepped and color corrected, I'm gonna put on foundation. The foundation that I use for Hannah is MAC Pro Longwear Foundation. When you're shopping for a foundation for stage makeup, you want to make sure that it is not liquid. So if you can pour it out of a bottle, it's way too thin. You want something that is creamy and can build coverage, but can go on relatively thick. What happens when you're under the stage lights is it really wipes the color off of your face. And if you don't have enough foundation on, you start to look washed out really quickly. So when you're looking for a color for stage, unlike off camera, you're gonna want something that's slightly darker than your skin tone. Even one shade darker than your skin tone is okay, because when you get out under the lights, it will look normal, I promise. So for Hannah's skin tone, and you can apply foundation, color corrector, primer with a brush, a sponge, your fingers. You don't have to be applicator specific. It's totally fine. I'm just more comfortable with brushes, but I'll show you on the other side how you can do this with a sponge. You want to make sure the foundation is blended all the way to the ears, down onto the neck, and up into the hairline so that there's no mask or discernible difference from where your skin color stops and the foundation begins. And you'll see that the places that I color corrected on Hannah are now even with the rest of her skin. Now, if I was gonna use a sponge, the one that I like is a Beauty Blender sponge. These are really common. You can get these at the drugstore, you can get them at makeup supply places, Sephora, Ulta, whatever. You want to get it wet, so it's damp when you're using it. And what's great about the sponge is it will apply the makeup in a way that's really even. And then you can't see, there's no like applicator lines. And you're just gonna sort of press it into your skin. Put a little across the lip, it's totally fine. You just wanna really cover the whole face. So now we have like a really good palette to work on. So Hannah's foundation is done. At this point, most people would start putting concealer on. I'm going to say no, don't put the concealer on. Hannah doesn't have any concealer on under her eyes. If you're gonna use concealer, use it to cover up blemishes at this point, but don't put it on under the eyes, and I will show you why after our next process. So we're gonna start with the eyeshadows. So this is the kit that everybody got, and this is how we're gonna do the eyeshadow on Hannah's eyes. You have 5 colors on your palette. You're gonna use this color or this color, whichever one you feel more comfortable in. On some of the dancers, this is gonna be too light. On some of the dancers, this is gonna be too dark. So you're gonna play around with this, and you're gonna find the color that works best for you. The color, the lightest color, is going to go over your entire lid. So the trick is the entire lid gets covered in this lightest color. The second color, depending on your skin tone, if you did this color and that looks good on your skin, not too bright, then go to the middle color. If you use this color, go to the next color. So you want it slightly darker than the one you just used, if that makes sense. I'm gonna say it does. So I load up the brush, same brush, and on Hannah's lid, it's slightly above her brow bone, not all the way across. It's only maybe 2/3 of the way across. I'm just trying to put in some definition on her eye. And if you go a little overboard, totally fine. Don't wipe it off, don't start over. Go in with your sponge or your brush, go around it, and you can take it down. The key is you want to build up the color, not start super heavy-handed. Hannah, look at the camera. So I'm adding a little bit of shadow to the outside, but I'm pulling her eye open. I'm not putting any shadow in here. So now that Hannah has the lightest color and then the medium color, now we're gonna put in the darker color for drama. Everyone is going to use this color right here. The way to apply it though, I want you to find a smaller brush, a tighter, more compact brush. You can use the sponge applicator that came in the palette, that's totally fine too. The trick at this point is you want the most control over the color because this black is heavily pigmented. It's a little harder to back off if you go overboard from the get-go. So I load up my brush, shake off my excess, and just underneath her brow bone, I'm gonna press this color in and blend up into that medium shade. And you'll see it goes on pretty dramatically right out of the gate. Maybe I want to take it down, blend it in a little bit. And again, you can get in there and move it around a little bit once it's on. Okay, open your eye. So now you can see the definition on the outside of her eye, but it's blending into that medium color. And again, you can go in and you can keep blending it. Blend, 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 blend. That's the rule. With either this is like a chiseled brush, it's pretty tight. You can use the sponge applicators, but you're gonna wanna use something relatively small. You're gonna take that darkest color, that black again. Hannah, look up. And I'm just gonna put it like 2/3 of the way under her eye and right along her lash line at the end. All right, now that we've got Hannah's shadow tamped down, the next step is the liner. Liner can be done with several different types of liner. You can use the marker liner. I know that NYX has a really good one, Maybelline has a good one, e.l.f. even has a good one. The trick is if you're gonna use a marker liner, make sure it's one that dries matte. Some of them dry glossy and it's very distracting. It's not a terribly good look. So you can stick with the shadow. If you're satisfied with that, that's fine too. If you want to add a little more, I use what's called a gel liner and a brush. And the way to apply a liner, even if you've got the markers, you're gonna do it the same way. You're gonna take the eye and kind of pull it away. You're gonna start by pressing on the inner edge, and you're gonna draw a straight line. That straight line across the front actually creates a tiny little wing. We don't want anything super, super dramatic, but by doing a straight line, when Hannah opens her eyes, open your eyes, it follows the contour of her eye. If you do it as an arch, it's gonna look like a really pronounced arch. So I'll demonstrate on the other eye. So I'm pulling up on her eye, I press it into the inner corner and I draw a straight line out. And then I just meet that line from the edge of her outer lashes. And I'm pressing it as far into her lash line as I can. So there is her winged, slightly winged liner. Now she's got a lot of drama going on with her eyes, but that's the whole point, because if you're watching her from the stage, we want people to be able to see you in the back of the auditorium, and the more dramatic your eyes are, the better they're gonna see you guys on stage. So at this point, we still haven't put any concealer under Hannah's eyes. You'll notice when you're applying the shadow and sometimes the liner and even the mascara, you'll experience what's called fallout. So the makeup will actually drop onto the face. Totally fine, totally fixable. But if you had already put concealer on, all of that makeup would stick to the concealer and be very hard to remove. So don't worry about it. If at this point you've got really dark circles, it's totally okay. All right, so a couple words about mascara and lashes. If you plan on using your lashes multiple times in a weekend, say you've got a competition and you're competing on Friday and Saturday, maybe Sunday, you can use the same lashes over and over again. The trick is you don't want to put mascara on those lashes. So we apply the mascara to your lashes and not your false eyelashes. So here we go. Look forward a little bit more. So you're gonna get as close as you can to the lash line, wiggle it out, coat those lashes nicely with the mascara of your choice. For some of our younger dancers that aren't quite comfortable with false eyelashes yet, this might be as much as you do, but I encourage you to start practicing with false eyelashes and getting used to wearing them. Once you get the knack of it, they're actually pretty comfortable and pretty easy to apply. So Hannah's got mascara on, now we're gonna put her false eyelashes on. As a team, we use the Ardell style number 110 for our lashes. If you find another lash that you really love working with, that's totally fine. I would just advise that you not use one that is super, super thick or dense. The lash that I have here they're pretty long and they're full, but they're not thick. So I hold the lash up to Hannah's eye, and these lashes are a little too long for her. So I'm gonna clip off the very outside of the lash. Don't clip from inside, clip from the outside. I'm gonna take a little bit off the outside. And I take my glue. So one of the things that goes haywire when people start applying false eyelashes is they put the lashes on before the glue is dry. And as a result, the eyelashes don't stick. Or they stick in the wrong place, and then you're kind of messing with them and you're taking them off and putting them on, and it's a bit of a mess. So take a minute, take your time, allow the lash glue to kind of dry on the lashes. Blow on them, as long as they're going on your own face, or you can wave them around. Because once the glue is pretty tacky, it'll stick right where it's supposed to stick. The next trick is when I put the lash on Hannah's eye, I actually line it up with the outside of her eye instead of the inside of her eye. The whole point of this look is to pull her eyes open. So if we put lashes that are really on the inside, it pulls everything in. So if you cut off a little too much, it's not a big deal because you're gonna line it up with the outside. So look at me. So if the lash glue is pretty dry when you put them on, the lashes should go on relatively easy. Don't get glue that dries dark or black or white. You want to get the glue that dries clear. Make sure it says clear on the box. Even though Hannah's got a few places that's not totally dry yet, it will actually dry clear. And then you can go back with your liner right over the top of these lashes, and you can kind of fill it in so that it's a pretty seamless line and you can't really tell where her lashes or her lid has the false lash put on it. It just blends right in. So this guy. I'm gonna give Hannah's eyebrows a little bit of definition. Again, not mandatory, but if you're interested, you can do your eyebrows with an eyebrow pencil. There's also wands. They look like little mini mascara wands. I like to do mine with the same type of brush that I put her liner on, but with powder. She's convinced of it. So another piece that you got in your kit is this NYX Jumbo Highlighter pencil. This is gonna add that little bit of shimmer or drama to your eyes. It's gonna catch the light when you're on stage, but we're not gonna put it all over your eye. So check it out. To define, give Hannah a little bit of definition on the top side of her brow bone. I'm gonna take this highlighter pencil and I'm just tracing underneath her brow. And I'm using my finger to blend it into her skin. So now she's just got a little bit of something when the light hits her face. The last step is we're gonna take the same pencil, close just a little bit, and we're gonna go right into the center of the eye. And since you don't have any other shadow except for that lightest shadow, open, this gives just a little pop on the inside of your eye. Now we'll do this side. Here. Hannah's eyes are done, except for one thing, concealer under the eye. So this is what I like to think of as instant Photoshop, because all of a sudden, all of the fallout under her eye is gonna go away. So you can take your brush or your sponge or your fingertip, whatever applicator you've landed on, and you can clean that whole area up to the best of your ability. And now we're gonna put the concealer on. The concealer that I use for Hannah is also MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. It is actually closer to her skin tone than her foundation. So if it's a little bit lighter than your foundation, that's fine. Again, like the foundation, don't pick anything that is really liquidy. You actually want pretty heavy coverage on your concealer. I load up my brush. And I'm gonna press all the way into her lash line. And then I'm gonna blend it out. And then with a smaller brush or the edge of your sponge or your fingertip, you're gonna blend right up into the liner that you've placed underneath here, but you're not gonna erase it entirely. So now, all that fallout is gone, and Hannah gets a little bit of brightness under her eye. So now that Hannah's eyes are complete, she's got her highlighter on, her lashes are on, we've done the concealer, now we're gonna add blush. I would prefer everybody find a cream blush. Powder blush tends to fly away, especially if we end up doing competitions where you're gonna wear a mask for a group routine and then maybe you take your mask off for your specialty. You want the blush to still be there when you take off the masks. So a cream blush is gonna stay longer than a powder. And the way that I apply the blush, get Hannah to smile. And I don't put it directly on the apple of her cheek. It's like just behind the apple. So it's actually down here. You can stop smiling now. Because it'll add a little bit more definition to her cheeks. And then if I want to kind of take that up a little bit. But it's really where Hannah would naturally blush instead of right in the front, which starts to look like kind of like a little Cupid doll. All right. So we're not contouring, we're not hollowing her cheeks out, we're not carving anything. We're just adding back in some of the flush that we took out with the foundation. And there is the blush. I would choose a blush that maybe is a little more brown than pink. Usually what people will go for is something that's way too pinky. So pick something that, like this is almost like a brick. It's got a little more brown in it. How you doing? Good, okay. So Hannah's face is almost done. At this point, the only thing really left is her lips. I would suggest you don't do your lips until you are about to go on stage. Or if you're gonna get together and stretch with your group or rehearse with your group before you guys kind of huddle up to take the stage, that is when you wanna put your lipstick on. You don't put your lipstick on before you leave the house and you're about to go sit in the auditorium for a couple hours. What happens is we tend to eat our lipstick, or it might transfer onto a costume or something, so we want to hold off on the lipstick until the last possible minute. Before we do our lips though, the one thing that you can set this with, you can set it with powder. So any matte powder is gonna be totally fine. I wouldn't put powder on the eyeshadow. You can do it, if I were to put powder on Hannah, hold this please. You can tell we've used this powder for several seasons, but I only put it where the light is gonna hit her face. And I might use it to set her concealer, but I'm not putting it all over her face. It's just really down here and maybe under her eyes. The other thing that you can do, which is what we use, is a setting spray. You can get setting spray at Target. This happens to be Kat Von D's setting spray called Lock-It. It doesn't matter as long as it has no shimmer in it. Some setting sprays actually have a little bit of mica or some sort of substance that adds shimmer. You don't want that. You just want something that's gonna lock down your makeup. So Hannah, you're gonna hold your breath. Okay, so her makeup is now set. You can go to competition like this, get there on your call time, hang out with your friends, and then wait until the last minute to do your lips. Couple words on lips. Chapstick, make sure your lips are not chapped. A trick you can use if your lips are chapped, you can put some Vaseline on your lips, let it hang out while you're doing your makeup, and then take a baby toothbrush and brush it across your lips, and that'll take all the dead skin off, which gives a nice surface to put your lipstick on. This is the lipstick that you got in your kit. This is Super Stay Matte Ink. It is exactly what it says it is. It is Super Stay. So when you put it on, it's not gonna come off really easily, and that's good. That's exactly what we want. So you're just gonna put it inside your lip line. But be careful. And then just trace your upper lip like you did your lower lip. Okay, rub your lips together. And there's your lip color for the season, and this will be the company makeup look for the upcoming season. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Okay, so this is Senaiah, and Senaiah has the exact makeup that Hannah has. This is just what it looks like on a darker skin tone. On Senaiah, I did choose the darker colors on the eyeshadow palette, but the highlighter is the same. This is what the lip color looks like on a darker skin tone like Senaiah's. But this is an example of how we're using the same look for everybody so that we have continuity. There's no corrections or modifications we have to take for any of the faces on the team. What do you think? She likes it, yay! Okay. So this is London. London is one of the younger dancers on our team. London has the same makeup that we did on Senaiah and on Hannah. Again, we didn't do any modifications for London. And we also did a really slick low pony for her, which I'll also do a short tutorial for in a little bit. But this is what the company makeup looks like on London. What do you think? Yay, okay. So this is Sarah. Sarah is wearing the exact same look that we did on London and Senaiah and Hannah. No corrections, no modifications. Sarah has a very different eye shape from someone like Senaiah or Hannah, but you can do the look on any eye shape and it will still have continuity. What do you think?
I like it.
You gonna do it? Yeah. Just gonna go put a picture on her social or something like that. I had to call you out. Sorry. It's good. Okay. All right. Hair.
Oh.
How, my darling? Good Lord Jesus. What is going on with this hair? Why do you have so much hair, Sarah? Wow. That was nice. Ooh, girl. This is why her ballet buns look like they have a donut in them and there's nothing in there. So this season, we're doing a center part low pony on most of our dances. And I'm gonna show you how to do that hairstyle. I'm gonna use Sarah as my model. Sarah has a lot of hair. And one of the things that happens is even if we spray the hair down, these little wispies start showing up after people sweat or they're taking on and off their masks. So I've got a couple techniques that you can use to make sure that doesn't happen. First, we're gonna wet Sarah's hair. This can be done with water or detangler, leave-in conditioner, doesn't really matter. I'm not really saturating her hair, just enough so that when I brush it, it all comes together for me. I'm gonna use a little bit of gel, a clear gel that doesn't get flaky once it dries if you end up having to change a hairstyle. Woo, sorry about that. So this is also gonna help kind of hold Sarah's hair down. And you can see that most of her hair is laying pretty flat, but she still has a lot of these little wispies around her hairline. So we're gonna take care of that right now. This is a product called Bedhead. It's like a wax stick. You can get it at Amazon. I think I got this at Rite Aid. So I'm gonna use this on her hairline, and I'm just running it all along the front sections of her hair. It's pretty waxy. But unlike the hairspray, when Sarah is sweating on stage or she's taking off her mask, I can still comb through the wax if I need to, and her hair is not really gonna develop flyaways once it's styled. So you take a fine-tooth comb and brush, or comb rather, through the front and just smooth all of that down. And what I like about the stick is it's pretty thick, has a lot of staying powder, but it's not like the gel. Your hair won't look wet when it's in, and it stays flexible enough that you can still run a brush through it. Like I said, if you need to do a touch-up. Okay. And then you can, as a finishing touch, you can still spray to flatten out any of those little creeping flyaways. But that is a low pony. Okay. So we did Sarah's hair, and Sarah has basically one length of hair, so does London, so those are relatively easy to do. Hannah, on the other hand, has many, many layers in her hair. So some people will say, oh, I have too many layers, it's not gonna go into a low pony, it's not gonna stay. So I'm gonna show you how we make it stay on Hannah. So with Hannah's hair, I'm gonna put a little more water in than I normally would, because I really need to make sure all these different layers. Hannah also has kind of curly hair, so I need to get it all to sort of flatten out. So she gets a lot more moisture, and she gets a little bit more gel, not much. Again, I don't want her hair to necessarily look wet once it's done, but I have to try and capture as much of the layers as I can and get her hair to lay pretty flat. I'm gonna do a little bit underneath so that I can make Hannah's hair look a little straighter. All right, so to start, I'm just using just a regular hairbrush to kind of work the product through her hair. All right, so you can see the product kind of started to flatten Hannah's hair out. She still has all these little guys down here that we need to take care of. So I'm gonna add more gel to the back of her head where the layers are starting to sort of, you can see they're kind of doing this. We want all of that to be pretty flat. So we're gonna put a little more product on that to hold it all down. And then this guy, this is the stick that I talked about before. So I'm just running it along her hairline and using it to pull her hair back. So again, fine-toothed comb. So now we've got Hannah's hair pretty flat. And I'm just gonna keep with that fine tooth comb, pulling everything down into this low pony. I might use, she's got some stubborn pieces on the side. This is where I see most of the flyaways on the team, by the way, is right above the ears. So using the stick will really help eliminate those. Okay, and that is a low pony center part on layered hair. So thanks for watching the tutorial. This is the makeup look for the upcoming season of the company. If you have any questions, I'm Sadie. You can reach me, I'm pretty much always around the studio. You can give me a call and ask any questions if you have them. But I hope you like the tutorial and have a great season, everybody. Bye. Say goodbye. Bye. Say goodbye.